Listen closely for a second before we even begin. Somewhere out there right now, there's a young person trying to prove themselves, and a parent wondering if they've done enough, or maybe too much. There's pride, pressure, love, ego, and expectation, all tangled together in ways that don't always make sense from the outside. So before you judge anyone in this story, just remember, behind every headline, there are real people trying to figure life out, just like everyone else. Now let's step into a story that looks like entertainment on the surface, but underneath, it's really about family, power, money, and perception. It all started with a moment, not a big event, not a concert, not a press conference. Just a clip. A short video of King Harris talking casually, almost confidently, about how he approaches his father T.I. for money. Not small money, not pocket change. $100,000. Now pause right there. For most people, that number feels huge, life-changing even. But for someone born into wealth, it can sound like just another business conversation. And that's exactly what King tried to explain. He wasn't asking for money to spend it, he was pitching ideas to invest. But here the problem. The internet doesn't wait for full explanations. It doesn't care about context. It doesn't slow down to understand nuance. It sees a clip, it grabs a sentence, and it builds a story. And the story became this. A rich kid is draining his father's money. That's all it took. Within hours, the narrative spread everywhere. Comments, memes, reactions, people laughing, judging, criticizing. And then the perfect person saw it. 50 Cent. Now if you understand anything about 50 Cent, you already know. He doesn't miss moments like this. He doesn't just respond. He weaponizes. Because this wasn't just about a viral clip. This was fuel added to a fire that was already burning. The tension between 50 Cent and T.I. didn't just appear overnight. These are two giants from the same era, two men who built empires in hip-hop, but in very different ways. For years there was distance, maybe even quiet respect. But 2026 changed everything. Something small, maybe a comment, maybe a misunderstanding, cracked that surface. And once it cracked, it didn't stop. It exploded. T.I. took the traditional route. He went into the studio. He responded with music, diss tracks, bars, direct shots. That's how rap battles used to work. But 50 Cent, he doesn't fight like that anymore. He fights with attention, with timing, with humiliation. He uses social media like a battlefield, and every post is calculated. So when that clip of King Harris went viral, 50 didn't just react. He turned it into a narrative. He joked about it, he exaggerated it. He painted a picture where T.I., once called the King of the South, was now being drained by his own son. And here's the genius and the danger of that move. It doesn't have to be fully true. It just has to feel believable. But then something happened that changed everything. The line got crossed. Because when 50 Cent shifted his focus away from T.I. and toward his family, that's when it stopped being entertainment and started becoming personal. He posted about Tameka Tiny Harris, and in hip-hop culture, bringing someone's wife into a conflict. That's not just disrespect. That's a declaration of war. And King Harris saw it. Now imagine this for a second. You're 21 years old, the world is watching you, and someone is publicly disrespecting your mother. What do? You stay quiet. Or you respond. King chose to respond. And he didn't hold back. He hit 50 Cent where it hurts, bringing up his past, his family, even referencing his late mother. Things escalated fast, faster than anyone expected. What started as jokes turned into something much darker. Because now it wasn't just two rappers anymore. It was family versus family. emotion versus strategy, reaction versus calculation. And this is where you need to understand something critical. 50 Cent thrives in chaos. Every response you give him becomes content. Every emotional reaction becomes a tool. Every attempt to defend yourself gives him more material. It's like fighting someone who doesn't just want to win. They want you to lose publicly. And the more you fight, the more they benefit. But let's step back for a moment. Because beneath all the drama, all the insults, all the noise, there's a deeper question hiding in plain sight. Is King Harris actually bankrupting T.I.? Let's be honest. No, not even close. Even with all the financial ups and downs, T.I. is still a wealthy man. His estimated net worth, combined with Tiny, sits around tens of millions. So what is $100,000 in that context? It's a fraction, a small investment, not a collapse. But here, where perception becomes more powerful than reality. Because T.I.'s financial history isn't perfect. There have been tax issues, debt, legal battles, public records of financial pressure. And when people already have doubts, all it takes is one viral clip to confirm their assumptions. That's how narratives are built. Not from full truth, but from partial truth mixed with emotion. And now look at King again. From his perspective, he's not asking for handouts. He's doing what many wealthy families do every single day. Pitching ideas, seeking investment, trying to build something. But because he's a rapper's son, and because it happened on camera, it becomes entertainment. It becomes judgment. It becomes a joke. And when someone like 50 Cent gets involved, it becomes a story the whole world watches. But here's the part nobody wants to talk about. This isn't just about money. This is about identity. King Harris is growing up in a spotlight he didn't create. Every mistake is public. Every word is analyzed. Every action is judged. He's trying to build his own name while carrying one that's already legendary. And that's not easy. Not for anyone. Meanwhile, T.I. is in a different position. He's not just a rapper anymore. He's a father, a businessman, a man with a legacy to protect. And when your family gets pulled into public conflict, you're no longer just defending your reputation. You're defending your home. And then there's 50 Cent, a master strategist. He understands something most people don't. Attention is power. It doesn't matter if people love you or hate you. If they're watching, you're winning. And that's exactly what he's doing here. He took a small moment, turned it into a massive narrative, and made the world react. So what's the truth in all of this? The truth is simple. King Harris is not bankrupting T.I., but the idea that he might. That's entertaining. That's clickable. That's viral. And in today's world, viral often matters more than factual. But let's go deeper. Because this story isn't really about celebrities. It's about something much bigger. It's about how quickly we judge people without understanding their reality. It's about how easily narratives are created and how hard they are to break. It's about how family, money, and pride can collide in front of millions of people. And maybe the most important question is this: what happens next? Because conflicts like this don't just disappear. They evolve. They escalate. Or sometimes, they burn out. But the impact, that stays. The perception sticks. The story gets remembered, not for what was true, but for what people felt was true. So here's the conclusion you need to walk away with. This wasn't about $100,000. It was about control of the narrative. It was about power in the digital age. It was about who gets to tell the story and who gets defined by it. And right now, 50 Cent is telling the story. But that doesn't mean it's the whole story. Before you leave, think about this. Next time you see a viral clip, next time you see people being judged, next time you feel ready to pick a side, ask yourself, do I know the full truth or just the loudest version of it? Because in a world driven by attention, the loudest voice isn't always the most accurate. If this story made you think even a little differently, if it opened your eyes to how narratives are built, or if you just want more deep breakdowns like this, stay connected. Because behind every headline, there's always a deeper story waiting to be understood.